Hi everyone, this is Charmander, and in this video, I'm gonna do a infantry field hero pair ranking list. And at the end of this video, I will also be providing my recommendation for a 5 infantry squad. I do have 2 different variations of that, so watch until the end of the video to see what those 2 sets of 10 different combination of infantry field heroes that I think would be really good for the current meta of this game. With that being said, let's start off with what I think is an S tier hit and run infantry field hero pairs that is currently available right now. And to no one's surprise, one of them is going to be the new hero Ailen, and the second one is going to be Miyamoto. So as you know, Ailen has taken over as the new Adat essentially in this game. And what I mean by that is no longer is it going to be Miyamoto and Adat as the biggest pair, or no longer is it going to be Miyamoto and Bodala. Ailen and Miyamoto is now the next best thing that is available right now. And I'm just going to go over some of the highlights between these two heroes. So the first thing we want to cover is Ailen's fourth skill, which is called electromagnetic acceleration. And a 20% squad travel speed here matches nicely with Miyamoto's 25% increase in travel speed. So together, they are actually going to be moving at 45% travel speed. Now, if you get Miyamoto with a skin, you can see that the travel speed goes up to 30%. So actually, their speed is going to be 50% in total, making them one of the fastest hero combinations in the game. Next, if we look at Ailen's second skill called Current Surge, which is a passive skill, the infantry squad attack of 20%, along with her fourth skill, electromagnetic acceleration, with an infantry squad attack of 35%, in total will be 55%. This is further stacked with Miyamoto, where if you awaken him, his infantry squad attack actually goes up to 40%. Obviously, this is higher with the skin, but if you have Miyamoto and Ailen together, that is a total of 95% infantry squad attack, so nearly double the infantry squad attack output if you have these two heroes together. Obviously, with the skin, Miyamoto will do 45% infantry squad attack instead, for a grand total of 100% infantry squad attack, which is double your squad attack output. Another thing to keep in mind is that Ailen and Miyamoto together has a double AoE damage because they're both AoE heroes. AoE means area of effect, meaning they can hit multiple troops at one time. So Miyamoto's direct damage factor is 13,000 plus 20% reduction for additional target hits. So basically, the second squad that he hits will take about 10,400 damage, while the third squad will take about 8,320 damage. If you get a skin with Miyamoto, it's going to be 13,500 direct damage factor plus 10% reduction for additional targets hit, meaning the second target is going to take 12,100 damage roughly, and the second one is going to take 10,890 damage roughly. Combine this with Ailen, who does 14,500 as a direct damage factor, allowing her to hit 2 additional targets for 8,500 each. So in total, Miyamoto and Ailen's skill damage together is going to be over 27,000 in skill damage, which is a lot. On top of that, you can expect a combination of about 18,000 plus damage for the first target hit and 16,000 plus for the second target hit for Miyamoto and Ailen together. This is Miyamoto without the skin. If you get Miyamoto with a skin, then the second target is most likely going to be taking over 20,000 damage, and the second target is going to be 18,000 plus in damage. So as you can see, this two pairing has a super strong AoE damage on top of the skill damage that they already deal together, making this a very powerful hero. The one downside to this pairing, if I were to point it out though, is Ailen does lack some defensive capabilities. So she is going to be leaning towards the glass cannon type of hero, but because they do move pretty fast, you could hit and run, and most likely you might be able to kill the enemy before they can kill you. So this is an amazing S tier pair that is now available in this game for infantry mains. Another S tier pair for infantry field player is actually going to be Ailen and Boyd together. Now this combination is specifically for a barroom brawl type of fight, meaning let's say 2 towers connect, everyone's in a field, everyone's punching each other, slugging each other, swinging at each other, fighting left and right, no one's really running away, everyone's just head-on collision, like 2 armies clash together. This combination is better for that situation because if you look at Boyd's second transcendent skill, it increases the skill damage by 35%, meaning his 15,300 damage is actually going to be over 20,000 in skill damage. Potentially also for Ailen, because of that buff, her skill damage of 14,500 would actually be closer to over 18,000 in damage. So together, it's over 38,000 in damage that they deal, which is a huge amount of damage. So as you can see, this is really suited for just firing skill damage, hurting opponents in the field really quickly. As well, if you look at Boyd's third skill, Omni Surveillance, which is a passive skill, it increased infantry squad attack by 50% when not in a rally or garrison. And his fourth skill increases infantry squad attack by 25% for a total of 75%. If you combine this with Ailen's second and fourth skill together, they get a whopping increase of 130% increase in infantry squad attack, making this more than double their damage output. So as you can see, from a pure power perspective, this is actually stronger than the Ailen and Miyamoto combination. However, the problem is this combination is not as fast because Boyd doesn't have any travel speed. So this is specifically good when everyone's just having a big battle royal as opposed to those hit and run kind of battles. Last but not least, I'd like to mention also that this pair is going to be quite tanky because as you can see, Boyd does have a shield factor of 7,000 for every 2 rage skill used from his 4th skill. He also gets a shield factor from his 3rd skill and some shield bonus as well from his super weapon. So as you can see, having these two together makes them quite tanky as a pair, which is good because Ailen does lack a little bit on that defensive capability. Last but not least, if you fully transcend Boyd, he also reduced the damage taken by the infantry squad by 12% for 3 seconds, making this even extra tanky on top of tanky, making this an excellent pair for that big battle royal type of battle that I was explaining earlier. So definitely easily on the S tier. Next pairing, there's actually going to be 2 different pairing with the same hero. The first one is going to be Marco. This pairing is going to be S tier as well, and it's going to be Marco with Bianca, and this pairing is actually going to be a super debuff and super buffing combination. When Marco first came out, I already said that this hero is going to be super strong, but other YouTubers who are obsessed with data said that this hero is actually going to be bad. But if you look at Marco's stats, it is quite obvious right from the get-go that he is going to be one of the meta strongest infantry field heroes available in this game. It's actually a bad idea to wait for data to come in first, especially for heroes, especially when their skills description is already a no-brainer. Because if you're waiting for data to come in first, what's going to happen is it's going to be 3 to 6 months after, and by then there's going to be a new hero. So all the data that you use, you lost that early advantage against other players. So do trust the data that's available, that's provided just from the description alone, and use your critical thinking skills to determine if a hero is good or bad. So with that little rant aside, let's look at Marco's skill, why this pairing is so good together with Bianca. So first of all, Bianca is often targeted in the field first because she is going to buff the hell out of your team. But if you put Marco with Bianca, then what's going to happen is when they try to kill Bianca, Marco's second skill, Electronic Interference, is going to debuff the enemy's HP by 47% for the next 3 seconds. So as you can see, they will pay if they try to kill your Bianca off first. Marco's third skill also reduces the enemy's travel speed by 35%, making it difficult for them to escape you if they try to focus on you. This is especially good if you're fighting one of those annoying hit and run kind of players, such as the traditional Adot and Miyamoto or a Rider player, because they can potentially get slowed down, making it difficult for them to escape, and you can finish them off before they run off, or at least badly injure them. The Steel Armor debuff not only reduces the travel speed of the enemy, but it also reduces the damage that they will deal by up to 16%, which is quite good to debuff the enemy. Now, while Marco is busy debuffing the enemy, your other hero pair, Bianca, is actually going to be buffing the hell out of your team. So what's going to happen then is Bianca's first amazing skill is going to be buffing your team's attack and defense by 42% while regenerating 60 rage to them at the same time. Her fourth skill also provides a shield factor of 2,800 that affects 3 nearby ally squads, and if you stack her 2,800 shield factor with Marco's 3,300 shield factor, this is actually a grand total of 6,100 shield factor on yourself, which is a lot larger than you think. Next, if we look at Marco's travel speed, he has 22%, and you pair that up with Bianca's 20%, and they are going to be moving quite fast in the field, which is a really good thing. As a range main, I am actually upset that I did not invest money into powering up Marco because he is so damn good, even though I am not infantry main. Like the fact that you can pair him up so beautifully together with Bianca is a godsend, and I so wish I was able to power up this hero more. Now, if you don't want to partner up Marco with Bianca, another amazing pair for Marco is actually going to be with Claude. So this team is another super debuff and super buff team, another no-brainer combination. So again, people are going to be forced to target this combination first because otherwise Claude is going to be buffing the hell out of your team. So as mentioned earlier, if people target you, they're going to have their HP reduced by up to 47% for up to 5 nearby enemies. On top of that, while the enemy is getting debuffed, your team is getting buffed at the same time by Claude's first skill called Blossoming Life, in which he is providing a 20% reduction in skill damage taken, as well as a 15% reduction in damage taken, making this a super tanky team to really make your team very defensive as a result. This also increases the damage dealt by your team by up to 25%. So not only are you making your team defensive, you're also making them offensively stronger as long as your squad size is over 50%. The second skill that has travel speed reduction of up to 40%, the skill is called Lingering Miasma, stacks nicely with Marco's third skill that reduces travel speed of the opponents by 35%. So if you stack this together, in total, you are going to be creating a 75% reduction in travel speed. Keep in mind that you actually don't need Marco and Claude for you to take advantage of this decrease in travel speed debuff. You can have them in different squads and it would still work. Next, if you look at Marco's 22% travel speed, this also stacks nicely with Claude's 20% increase in travel speed, making them have a total of 42% travel speed, allowing them to move quite fast in the field. When Claude takes a skill damage, he also creates a shield factor of 3000, which stacks nicely again with Marco's 3300 shield factor for a grand total of 6300 shield factor, making them very defensive together. So as you can see, this pairing is a match made in heaven, another S tier pairing for the infantry field squad, and definitely one that you should consider putting together. Now, outside of the S tier pairing, we're going to go to the A plus pairing now for infantry field, and that is going to be a combination of Bodala and Riven together. So basically, Bodala's first skill, gaining enlightenment, will provide a shield factor of 10,800, which synergistically works well with Riven's fourth skill, which is called Mighty Bear, that increases the shield bonus by 30%. So if you combine this together, this is a sickening total of over 14,000 in shield bonus. On top of that, if you look at Bodala's second skill, he increases the infantry squad HP by 11%, which you can combine with Riven's second skill, which also increases the infantry squad HP by 30%. So in total, you are gonna have a nice 41% increase in infantry squad HP, which makes them even more tanky as a result, especially because they have that shield factor. Riven's second skill also has that infantry squad defense by 15%, which also stacks with Bodala's second skill that increases infantry squad defense by 32%, which is a grand total of 47%, adding extra defensive capabilities for this pairing. Bodala's fourth skill, Ephemeral Body and Mind, increases infantry squad attack by 34%, which stacks with Riven's third skill of 24% infantry squad attack. So in total, they are gonna have a nice 58% increase in infantry squad attack. As you know, Riven has one of the highest damage factor in the game of 3,900 for 4 seconds, which is actually a grand total of 15,600. If you combine that with Bodala's true damage, which is not affected by enemy defense or any other factor, you get a nice potential total of 22,620 damage for this pairing, and this pairing is extremely tanky, dealing good damage. I actually predicted this pairing to be one of the best pairing available in this game right when Bodala came out. A YouTuber actually had the audacity to tell me that this is wrong because there's no data on it yet, and fast forward to today's present time, and this pairing is the meta strongest infantry pairing in the field from a pure damage perspective. Obviously, it doesn't move very fast, so this is more of a barroom brawl, battle royal kind of hero pairing. I can actually picture that YouTuber right now with his mouth open, tongue sticking out, limp fingers beating his chest, saying, I'm sorry, I was wrong. You damn right you're wrong, you motherfucker. Next, we're gonna go with an A tier pairing that you actually see quite a bit in the field. This pairing is gonna be a combination of Bodala and Miyamoto together. So the first thing to keep in mind is Bodala and Miyamoto's travel speed together will be 45%. If you get Miyamoto with the skin, Bodala and Miyamoto are actually gonna be running at 50% travel speed, making them a very fast combination. It also helps that Bodala has a huge shield factor that will make this pairing quite defensive as a result, allowing them to fight in the field much longer. Bodala's 34% in infantry squad attack also stacks with Miyamoto's 40% increase in infantry squad attack, making this a nice 74% increase in infantry squad attack. If you get Miyamoto skin, then it will be 79%, which is quite high and quite strong. Miyamoto also provides you with 20% infantry squad defense, which also stacks with Bodala's 32% increase in infantry squad defense, making it a nice 52% infantry squad defense, making them quite defensive together. When Bodala is awakened, he also hits 3 targets, which you can combine with Miyamoto, who also hits 3 targets with his skill damage, allowing you to have a double AoE effect that's happening at the same time. And this is why this is still a strong pairing and definitely in the A tier category. Another pairing that's in the A tier category, but for a completely different reason than defensive and long-term battle capability, is going to be your classic Miyamoto and Adat combination. So the first thing to keep in mind is that Adat has that 30% travel speed increase, making her the fastest infantry hero in the game. game. If you pair her up with Miyamoto, who has 25% travel increase, that is a sickening 55% increase in travel speed. Now, if you get Miyamoto with the skin, his travel speed further goes up to 30%, making him one of the fastest heroes in the game, tied with a dot, and together they would be moving at 60% travel speed. So if you have a dot and Miyamoto together, you can be the most annoying asshole in the game, doing that hit and run, being a douchebag in the event, especially in big maps, where you're just harassing people left and right, and if they try to come after you, you can jump between nodes and hide behind shoulders. Miyamoto also provides you with 20% infantry squad defense, and a dot will provide you with 40% infantry squad defense for a nice total of 50% increase in infantry squad defense. If a dot's squad is over 50% in size, she provides that 50% increase in infantry squad attack, which stacks nicely with Miyamoto, who is providing that 40% increase as well in infantry squad attack when awakened. So in total, that is already a very nice 80% increase in infantry squad attack. If you add that with a dot, let's say you've been fighting on the field for a while, you can see that she can increase this further by 44%, making this a grand total of 124% increase in infantry squad attack, making this quite a good pairing in terms of damage as a result, assuming you've been fighting the same opponent for quite a while. If you get Miyamoto's skin, the infantry squad attack goes up by an additional 5%, so you're actually looking closer to 129% increase in infantry squad attack potential. So as you can see, this is still a good pairing to this day. I wouldn't say it's bad just because there's new shiny heroes that came out, but definitely still worth using if you already have this pairing awakened together. Next, we're gonna look at some B tier combination heroes, and the first one we're gonna look at is going to be a combination of Boyd and Riven together. So the first thing that is really good about this is if you look at Boyd's fourth skill, he provides that shield factor of 7,000 for 3 seconds after 2 rage skill has been used. This is further strengthened by Riven's fourth skill that increases the shield factor by 30%. So in total, they're gonna have a very nice 9,100 shield bonus. The biggest con with this pair though is that neither Boyd or Riven has any travel speed, so they are actually gonna be very, very slow. This is why this is not higher than B tier, because it's mainly meant from the pure power perspective, as well as you need Boyd to be fully transcended, which is super expensive. Boyd's second skill increases skill damage by 35%, meaning his 15,300 damage is actually going to be 20,655. He also has the potential then to increase Riven's skill damage as a result, making the skill damage that she deals potentially reach over 20,000 as well. So together they have a potential of dealing over 40,000 in skill damage, making this a ridiculous amount of skill damage available, assuming that the description is correct, that Boyd's second skill will actually power up his skill damage as well as the assistant hero's skill damage as well. So as you can see, Boyd and Riven is actually a good combination if it's just the barroom brawl battle royal situation again when 2 towers hit and everyone's just slugging at each other. The last B tier combination, I would say, this is more for the purpose of counter damage baiting. Let's say you're fighting an alliance full of new players. You can take this pairing, which is going to be Stella and Eddie together, put lots of armaments on them, stick them in the field, and you can combine Eddie's 44% increase in counter damage along with Stella's increase in counter damage by 32%, and you have a nice total of 76% counter damage, allowing you to bait people into attacking you, getting you easy points when the noobs find out that they're killing themselves by attacking you. Stella's increase in infantry squad HP by 30% when the third skill is transcended also stacks nicely with Eddie's fourth skill that increases infantry squad HP by 30%, granting them a total of 60% infantry squad HP, making them quite a tanky pair. Last but not least, Eddie's 2,500 shield factor also stacks with Stella's 1,250 increase in shield factor for a modest increase of 3,750 in shield factor just to help blunt the enemy damage. So as you can see, this pairing is still pretty good in the field. I would definitely not be against using this at all. It would be good for baiting the enemies in general and definitely a nice addition to your team. Now, in terms of putting this together, let's say you want to have 5 squad of 10 infantry in the field at the same time. Some of the best combination, in my opinion, to have would be Ailen plus Miyamoto as the first squad. Second squad would be Bodala and Riven. And then you're going to have Marco and Bianca, followed by Boyd and Claude together. And mainly because if you look at Boyd, it says here when not Garrison or Narali increases Boyd Warden's rage recovery speed by 30%. So he is actually a rage regeneration monster, kind of like Lewis. So if you partner him up with Claude, then Claude would be pumping out the damage reduction buff that he has, as well as buffing the team's damage, as well as debuffing the enemy. So that is the logic behind that pairing. And for the final pairing, you have the option of either doing Stella and Eddie together, or you can do a more traditional pairing that would still be decent actually as a 5th squad, which is going to be a Dot and Thunder together. And mainly because Thunder's Awaken skill is a buff that increases the damage for you and your nearby allies by 15% after using a skill, lasts 2 seconds, affects up to 3 squads. squads. So this is a good example of a 5 squad pairing that you can do with infantry. Alternatively, you can also pair Boyd with Ailen for that extra damage that I mentioned earlier, as well as Bodala and Riven together, followed by Marco and Claude, as I shared with earlier. And then you can put together the traditional Miyamoto and Adat. And last but not least, you can put together Thunder and Bianca together just to make Bianca defensive, hard to kill, while she is buffing the team. So that would be also a really good 5 squad infantry team that you can put together with the appropriate pairs. So anyways, I hope that this video helped you figure out some of the best infantry hero pairs that you can put together in this game that will help you deal more damage in the field, be more effective in the field, be more effective helping your team, and ultimately help you gain more points in events like Archipelago Raid, Island Raid, Genesis War, or any PvP events. And the better you're doing in this game, the happier you'll be, which is ultimately the goal of this game, which is to have fun. Anyways, that's about it for this video. In future videos, I will be covering infantry pairs for Rally as well as infantry pairs for Garrison as well. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.